Yeah, intuitive. Yeah, I'm like zombies down in the middle of the west. Draw too quick, click the trigger at your chest. He's got a kill street that is bigger than the best, but he's unknown, doesn't lie, living with the stress. Zoo beer, bunning and I'm blessed. You just drink root beer, study for your test. Me, I got a roots here, I know where the vets. So when I made tunes there, spun up on the regs, now I'm coming for your head. Had been kicking the flow like this 4 years, and I did it for the love, not the chicks or cheers. I suggest you shut up and sip your beers. I've been for the blood, sweat, shit and tears.
At junction of thumb and index, dusk settles in the platform's palm. Signal colours without word switch, so I halt while the year divides. A scattering of swifts command their heaven, black on dimming blues, as rumbling dockbound freight, contained and corporate, cuts through the calm. My ears, tuned still for wind of change, are empty wagons seeking load. The weight of remembrance fills them, full with lingering, cryptic hues. An express hurls a dawdling dove in puff of feathery snow to death. When losing track, it is what's heard that counts, not what we can decode. Beyond the iron footbridge, painted green and red, snaking points choose sides. Homeward, parting light from darkness, my branch line curves and holds its breadth. So, who am I? Mark Cassidy, winding the clock down towards retirement, former student politician, itinerant radiographer, an academic radiographer, aspirant part-time poet, for as long as I can remember, taking myself a little bit more seriously in that regard over the last kind of maybe 10 to 15 years, kind of really trying to get better. Our world at a right angle. Train your view. Find in 400 feet of whitened face a black spread eagle halfway from swell to sparse pine rim.
My name's Laurie, otherwise known as Intuitive, so been rapping about 6 years, something like that. I got into battle rapping, well I was just into hip hop myself anyway, and then I got into battle rapping, so I went and did like a cappella rap battles with people for a long time. And then from there kind of got into the hip hop scene up in the Midlands near Birmingham, Wolverhampton, that kind of thing. Started developing it, learning the trade myself, got into other things as well, and since then I've kind of moved forward. I still got my own, I've got things on Spotify released, some other stuff, and since then I've kind of moved into the more business side, so ultimately I'd like to run a label, that kind of thing, and promote kind of independent hip-hop music, that kind of thing. When I was about 18, I've been doing about 2 years. At that point, I've kind of gone all over the country, I've been to London, Norwich, Birmingham, and all sorts of other places. And I was like, this is amazing, this is a real challenge for me. It's something I'm not good at, but I want to be good at, and there wasn't a lot of other stuff like that. It was, do I want to be a lawyer, do I want to be a doctor? And I was like, I guess I felt like, oh, you have to do something like that. And then I was like, hold on a second, it's my life, I can do what I want with it, and then I was like, and then I kind of moved down to Brighton, and at that point it was really, really like, this is the only thing I'm ever going to do. It was empowering. It was like realising that you don't just have to do something that somebody else says you should be doing. The thing with rap is that I find it a bit one-paced, or it can be, and so the kind of relentless way it leans on rhyme and the incessant tumbling of the words makes a very dense soundscape, and that's kind of quite difficult for me personally, because I'm old, to sort of latch onto it. It requires a concentration that maybe I haven't got. Each generation is supposed to have their own thing. You're supposed to have your own music, and that's your identity and your sound, We're not an accent people are rappers, we are just artists, sacking it up, know what 16 bar is. Me, I know how to chop and scar this. Big up on the inside, doctor's TARDIS. Chopping at your carcass, trying to work out where your stomach and your heart. Rap is poetry, but poetry isn't necessarily rap. Like, all rap is poetry, but not all poetry is rap. I said, it's crazy when I drop my flow. Many try cop my flow. Money man blocks my dough. I didn't give a fuck cause I got my bros and he's got nice draw. When we rock mics, I said we rock mic show. You rock mics but you're not nice though. That is not mine cause mine's got nice flow. When I cut mine up like it's not nice coke but you still take it. Still think I'll still make it. And I don't mind if you don't rate it. I'll take your mind and rotate it. You take the mic and roll safe it. Some change your life but most fake it. Some change your mind and don't stay shit. You're not that guy so don't say shit. Cause it's not likely I'll locate it. Cause it's not likely I'll locate it. Yeah, yeah.
You see, I would say, and this is where the snobbery thing comes in, is I would probably say, you know, Kate Tempest is. I'd brace her as a fellow poet. Much as I like the politics of somebody like a Carl, and I was listening to this, I thought, oh, I'd get my head in the zone, as it were. And actually, putting some of my objections to the one paceness of the music, quite a lot more musical variety than I'd maybe expected to find. I'm not sure that is.
Rapping is the medium of, you know, using lyrics and rhymes to a rhythm, to a beat. Having said that, poetry does have innate aspects of that, or at least some poetry does. So, you know, when you talk about things like, I'm not necessarily a poet, but like iambic pentameter, you know, that's got a kind of rhythm as you're speaking it, you know, and that is essentially exactly the same thing, except within rap, you're limited to whatever beat you're using, you know.
Ideas themselves can come from anything, you know. I mean, I'm particularly fond of nature. I think that's very, very good for the soul, so that's a strong element in some of the things that I write, but it's whatever happens, you know. There's poetry in all sorts of things if you look hard enough, really. I wouldn't say I have one kind of key inspiration. And I'll look at really top-class poets and think, I'm only ever going to be a skilled amateur, you know. But you know, you've got to aspire, haven't you?
I think rap is just kind of a new extension of poetry, and it's kind of our generation and the previous generation's evolution of essentially what is a literary art form, you know. So yeah, like I said, rap is poetry. Poetry isn't necessarily rap. I think that's probably the way I distinguish it. However, I think there has to be something to be said for the fact that essentially, you know, we're talking about writing, music, and also as part of that, and what is part of hip hop as well, is, you know, things like breakdancing, graffiti, DJ, and that kind of thing as well. They're all extensions of the same thing, which is an attempt to kind of quantify and put into real life the human experiences, attempt to take your experiences and share them with someone else. And things like, is this poetry, is this rap, are kind of essentially artificial divisions. They're all kind of, you know, and more as media kind of blends over, these things do cross over. You know, spoken word's a good example, so yeah.